In the city of Inkopolis, where vibrant ink splashes filled the air and the streets buzzed with the energy of competition, there was an inkling named Juno. Unlike most inklings, Juno was not driven by the thrill of turf war victories or the adrenaline of the Splatfest battles. She was a quiet, introspective inkling, one who loved the arts, spending her time painting murals in hidden corners of the city. Her colors, rich blues and soft greens, were her way of expressing herself in a world that often seemed too fast and too loud. But as the seasons changed in Inkopolis, so did the city's priorities. The turf wars became more intense. The demand for new recruits grew as teams expanded. Desperate to gain an edge, Juno, with her quiet nature, found herself slipping into the shadows. She had no interest in the chaos of the battlefield, and yet she felt a deep longing to belong, to be seen. One day, during a particularly chaotic Splatfest, Juno's twin brother, Kai, was invited to join a prestigious team. Kai was everything Juno was not: loud, brash, and fiercely competitive. He thrived in the spotlight, dominating turf wars with his sharp aim and quick reflexes. Juno, proud of her brother but overwhelmed by a sense of inadequacy, hesitated when Kai offered to train her. "You could be great, Juno. You just need to try harder. Be more like me," he said with a grin. His words, meant to inspire, only deepened the gap between them. She couldn't bring herself to be like him. She couldn't bring herself to love the chaos. Despite her hesitations, Juno eventually agreed to enter a battle with Kai. The ink was flying, the competition fierce. At first, Juno hung back, using her ink not to fight, but to paint a mural on the side of a building, hidden away from the battle. Kai, however, was pushing forward, his focus unshakable. He fought valiantly, but the energy in the battlefield was different that day. Juno felt something change, something she hadn't felt before: the call to fight, to protect her brother, and to prove that she wasn't just the quiet artist in the background. But as Juno entered the fray, she lost herself in the noise. She had never been good with combat, and the pressure overwhelmed her. In her haste, she failed to see an opposing inkling one with a new, untested weapon sneak up from behind. The ink hit her squarely in the back. She collapsed, her body flickering, her ink vanishing into the surrounding environment. Kai, who had been in the heat of his own battle, turned just in time to see his sister fall. Panic surged through him. He tried to reach her, but the chaos of the war didn't stop. And he couldn't get to her in time. Juno was gone, her ink scattering into the dark void, leaving only the soft echo of her last breath. The Splatfest raged on, the victory claimed by the opposing team. But in the heart of Inkopolis, everything felt hollow. The lights seemed dimmer. The murals Juno had left behind, small, delicate expressions of herself, remained untouched, faded in the aftermath. Kai, once the proud and fearless competitor, was broken. He had fought to win, but at what cost? His sister, the one person who had ever truly understood him beyond the game, was lost forever. He stood in the arena long after the others had left, the ink of his victories now feeling like a cruel reminder. Days turned to weeks, and the competitive world of Inkopolis went on. Yet, for those who knew her, the memory of Juno remained a quiet, artistic soul lost in the battle for recognition. Her murals, once hidden in quiet corners, now stood as silent tributes to the inkling who had never quite fit in, yet had a heart full of love for her city. And in the darkest corners of Inkopolis, some still swore that if you looked closely, you could see the faint outline of a mural painted in soft blues and greens, waiting for the world to stop and appreciate the beauty in stillness. But no one ever looked.